Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. There's been a lot of questions, a little bit of concern lately in regards to the Black Ops 6 X Warzone update. Now, for what it's worth, obviously we've gotten our major Black Ops 6 reveal, the initial reveals at least, for multiplayer, campaign, and zombies. However, what we have in regards to Warzone this year is pretty limited. It seems like a lot of that's going to be reserved and going to be saved for the Call of Duty Next presentation, which is happening on August 28th in a few weeks time, of course. And so come that time, we'll gain a lot more official information. What we do have now, though, is a handful of confirmations coming directly from the developers themselves, from Treyarch, as a handful of creators and then also some other media members were able to go through, some journalists and whatnot, and actually play the game a little bit early, talk to some devs, and from this we got some brand new details in regards to the Black Ops 6 Warzone integration. And yes, you heard that right. With Warzone this year, it's not going to be like a fresh new Warzone like Warzone 2 was or anything. It's going to be another integration. So Black Ops 6 is going to integrate into the current Warzone that we have, and with that we're going to see a bunch of significant updates, including some that I want to focus on and start this video off with. So this article is coming from Screen Rant. There were some Screen Rant journalists that were able to play the game a little bit early, and they go in detail on a bunch of stuff that we pretty much found out throughout the direct reveals with multiplayer and with zombies and everything like that. But they also got to talk a tad bit about Warzone, and while we don't get a ton of details, as mentioned, they say we're gonna have to wait until Call of Duty Next is like the main tagline here. They did give us some important confirmations that then set in stone a much larger conversation. So they say, unfortunately, Treyarch would not openly talk about Warzone's integration just yet. Yale Miller, the director of production at Treyarch, did tell us, however, that Black Ops 6 will feature familiar live seasons and emphasize the obvious. Black Ops 6 is built upon a shared engine that Call of Duty studios use, which is just good news outright, as we've talked about before. They also reiterated their commitment to improving the experience of the launcher, the Call of Duty HQ, which we know right now is all right. It's got the very not ideal menus with all the horizontal UI, not really a thing that players are enjoying too much, and it takes up a lot of space, obviously, having all these different Call of Duty games installed. And they say, including the efforts to reduce the insanely large footprint and file size Call of Duty currently commands. I fear this may mean we lose some fan favorite Warzone maps as new content rolls out. We'll have to see if that actually comes to fruition or not. As long as Rebirth Island remains for Resurgence, we're good. Obviously, that's just the journalist here interpreting that. Miller does confirm that in the next few months, they'll talk more about this and how Omnimovement will integrate into Call of Duty Warzone. So it is officially confirmed. Omnimovement is coming to Warzone this year. This has been the big question, maybe the biggest question so far in regards to what to expect for the future of Warzone post Black Ops 6 reveal, because while we got a lot of really good sneak peeks and previews into what the campaign will be like, a little bit into what zombies will be like, and a lot into what multiplayer will be like, Omnimovement and the new updated movement system for BO6 was really the main standout and definitely what was generating the most hype, I would say. So quick recap and just a general summary of what to expect now with this major movement update that's now confirmed for Warzone. Omnimovement is a lot of different things, a lot of different changes, all sort of combined into one system that is designated Omnimovement, right? So the Omni part of that in and of itself is the ability to move in any direction whatsoever with all of your movement mechanics. So sprinting, not just forwards anymore, being able to sprint forwards, backwards, left, and right. Also being able to dive forwards, backwards, left, and right. While you're prone on the ground, instead of always spinning around, kind of awkwardly, almost like a plank, if you will, you're going to be able to actually rotate while prone. So you can lay on your stomach, you can lay on your side, you can lay on your back and rotate around there in a 360-degree direction, right? Which is going to be very big in and of itself for Warzone gameplay. Obviously, movement is always a huge focus when it comes to Warzone. Is there going to be slide canceling or bunny hopping, or how is this going to work? How is that going to work? And the Omni movement system is by far the most drastic change to Warzone movement that we will see, at least so far. Who knows? Maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we have jetpacks in Warzone or something, but Omni movement is by far the most significant movement upgrade that we've seen. We've obviously seen some movement downgrades going going from Warzone 1 into Warzone 2, and now we're sort of bringing it back 1-to-1 with Warzone 1 with the MW3 movement this year. But the Omni movement system is going to provide for a whole new layer of, a skill gap, really, is what it's going to offer, with the ability to strafe and tether together, diving while shooting to your side, or while shooting backwards, or diving backwards into a prone, then you're laying on your back and maybe can hold an angle better and be a little bit more inconspicuous with where you're proning or what angles you're able to actually see that the enemies might not recognize. That's a huge deal in and of itself, and the fact that Omni movement is now confirmed for Warzone is a big deal. And by the way, as we are breaking down all these details here today, if you are new to the channel or maybe you haven't subscribed yet, this is the place to be to guarantee you we're always up to date with everything going on in COD, whether it's BO6, MW3, Warzone, a mixture of all of them. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, because this is the place you'll guarantee you'll always have the latest info whenever it surfaces. And of course, if you enjoy this video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. But in addition to just the general Omni movement, we have the layers of Omni movement. It's an onion. I'm an onion mason, as Woods once said, right? And with that also comes the upgrade to the sort of intelligent movement system, which is basically those gameplay assists that they talked about for Warzone. So having a sprint assist, a mantle assist, a slide assist, stuff like that, that makes it so that in order to do a series of movement strings, so saying you're jumping into a mantle over a wall and then you're sliding out, it might not require as many button pushes. You don't have to press the jump, mantle, and then slide buttons all together. The movement assists that they detailed would basically mean that you don't actually have to press all those buttons, and it's really, I think, more so geared towards players who aren't as good at movement as some of the best players, or players who maybe don't like pressing all the button commands back to back to back, like they're entering a GTA cheat code from back in the day. Up, up, down, down, A, B, X, Y, and suddenly you're good at movement, right? It instead offers the ability to still have very smooth movement and really capitalize on the Omni movement system, while also keeping things simple and straightforward. You don't have to learn a ton of things. So that in and of itself almost lessens the skill gap for specific players, but the ability to really master these new movement systems is going to offer a much larger skill gap than maybe what we've seen in years past, where it's pretty straightforward. Can you slide cancel? Yes. Can you tether slide canceling into ADSing and camera peaks and camera breaks around corners and everything? Yes. You're probably good. If you struggle with that stuff and continuously integrating it into your gameplay, you might struggle a little bit more with just the general skill gap, right? But for the most part, that's a very one-dimensional skill gap, whereas this one is much more literally, with the Omni movement, a three-dimensional skill gap. So now that the general movement update, really the significant movement update, is confirmed for Warzone, that then raises a few other additional questions that I'm sure we're going to have direct answers for at Call of Duty Next in a little bit of time, but also we can go off of history a little bit here too. So when you hear Warzone integration, you assume, okay, all the new things of Black Ops 6 are coming to Warzone, and for the most part, that's a correct assumption. Yes, we're going to see the BO6 weapons, we're going to see the BO6 operators, and now confirmed we're going to see the BO6 movement. In addition to that, though, BO6 is also offering in new enhancements and improvements to things like Create a Class in multiplayer, where we're going to see sort of a redesigned perk system with perk specialties and perk benefits. If you're going all in on movement, you're going to end up getting some extra benefits by selecting 3 perks that are all movement based or objective based or things like that. We're going to see different equipment and different stuff like that, and oftentimes, well, yes, that is a part of the new game, not all of that ends up being fully integrated into Warzone, and I expect it's going to be similar this year as well. Like, for instance, in MW2, and we had the very dumb, hey, you don't get all your perks right at the start, you get them over time. That system didn't integrate into Warzone, obviously. With MW3, the boots and the gear system did not fully integrate into Warzone, and so some of these other enhancements and changes that BO6 is offering outside of movement and these settings specifically probably are not going to see the full one-to-one translation into Warzone, like if it was just multiplayer year over year, right? Now that said, what we do have transferring should be a lot more seamless and should be more one-to-one because of the shared engine, which is not obviously something that we've been able to see a lot of in previous Warzone integrations outside of really specifically MW3 and MW3 alone. So Create a Class and stuff like that will probably be different enough between MP and Warzone. Another big thing though, a big talking point that they mentioned at the direct event movement was actually the ability to customize your HUD. If you wanted the minimap in the top right or the top left, you could pick and choose, or the bottom left if you wanted to. If you wanted to have your ammo and your lethals and tacticals and stuff appear more towards the center of your screen so you don't have to look down, you could have them in the center, you could have them in the left or whatever. That HUD customization, something we already have in Warzone Mobile, is that also going to translate into Warzone gameplay? Because that would be a pretty big deal as well. Again, something to keep an eye on. We don't have a direct answer for, but you have to imagine a lot of the improvements that would work and a lot of the changes that would work across multiple modes, like HUD, like movement, that stuff more than likely will end up transferring and integrating into Warzone, whereas things that definitely are geared more towards specific modes like created class systems and wild cards and multiplayer, allowing you to have, 8 attachments or extra tacticals or whatever, that stuff is definitely geared more towards one mode of play versus being more universal like certain settings. So just a few quick PSAs there if you're wondering in regards to other things integrating, but the big takeaway here, Omnimovement is coming to Warzone, and those movement settings should be coming to Warzone as well, which means we are in for a very drastic change to general movement within Warzone and Black Ops 6 when that integration happens later this year. Now that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed, do me a favor and drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out to guarantee you're always up to date with all things going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.